What's up, guys? Welcome to the shop. My name is Kyle Hamill with Trails End Custom Construction. We design and build custom cabinetry and furniture here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And we are here today going to show you a quick how-to, what it looks like to stain and finish a maple live edge floating shelf from our friends over at Federal Brace. So first we're going to talk about some of the products and tools and equipment that we're going to need to knock out this project. Naturally, first of all, our maple live edge floating shelf from Federal Brace, that's the most important. After that, we've got our sanding tools here. So what we've got here is an electric random orbital sander with a couple of different grits of sandpaper. You don't have to have an electric sander. If you don't have one, a sanding sponge or a sanding block works totally fine. Next to that, we're going to need some clean rags, and then of course our stain and our clear coat. Lots of different product options there. We won't really get into that now, but the stain is the most important for the front side, and then some sort of a clear protecting coat for the back side is also important. Lastly, and most importantly, you're going to need some personal protective equipment, or PPE. We've got a respirator here. Sanding produces some really fine dust that we definitely don't want to be breathing in. So we like to keep a respirator, or at least the bare minimum, some sort of a dust mask on hand as well. Next, we got our safety glasses. We don't want to get any sort of dust or wood shavings in our eyes. So we could keep a pair of safety glasses. And then last here, we've got our latex gloves, just to keep some of the harmful chemicals that are in some of our stains and clear coats from getting onto our skin. So since both sides of our maple live edge floating shelf here are going to be finished today, we want to make sure that we're protecting the back side as we're sanding the opposite side. So we like to use some leftover packaging material, or a moving blanket, or an old t-shirt, something just to isolate the wood from the tabletop so that we don't get any sort of dents or scratches from the table into the bottom side as we're sanding. So our first step here is going to be kind of just a general inspection of the wood. These guys do a great job of going ahead and doing a lot of the hard work for us. We are going to do a little bit of sanding just to kind of prep for finish, but like I said, a kind of general inspection, looking for any sort of irregularities in the wood, maybe some dents and scratches, etc., that we want to focus on when we're sanding. And then we're going to go right into our sanding process. So typically, as we take raw lumber through the sanding process, we're going to start with a rougher grit, like 80 grit or something close to that family. In this application, we're actually able to start a little bit higher because things are pretty smooth and looking pretty good. So we'll start with a 120 grit sandpaper. We'll hit 120. We do want to work through the grits to kind of knock down those swirl marks that start to inevitably form when we're using our random orbital sander here. But as we work through the grits, we're going to hit 120, 150, 180, and then we'll probably call it quits there. Of course, if you don't have a mechanical sander or electric sander, you can use a sanding sponge or a sanding pad with just regular sandpaper. Again, still kind of working it through the grits. We just want to make sure that we're sanding with the grain of the wood. So kind of along as the tree grows, we want to sand in that direction. Of course, one of the most accented features here on the maple live edge floating shelf is the live edge, and we can't neglect that in our sanding process. Now, I will say using a power sander can be a little difficult out here on these rounded edges, and we really don't want to flatten those edges because we start to lose that feature of the live edge. So this is a great opportunity to utilize what we've got here is just a 150 grit sanding sponge, sanding block, and that's what we're going to use to kind of work into those profiled edges and get all the way down into the sort of nooks and crannies of that live edge. So next up, we're going to make sure that we get this wood nice and clean here before we start getting ready to apply our finish. We've worked all the way through the grits in our sanding process. We've inspected all the edges, kind of broken the corners to make sure we don't have anything too sharp on the edges. Reason being is that those sharp corners, number one, they can be a little bit dangerous during the install process, and then of course the functionality of the shelf. But number two, if you break those edges just a little bit over, it'll help to hold that clear coat and gives you something to build on, as opposed to a sharp corner. Sometimes that clear coat will start to fall off and you won't get quite as good a coverage out there on the corners. So we've sanded all the way through. We have broken our edges. Now we're going to make sure everything's nice and clean. So if you've got an air compressor or something like that, you can kind of blow it off. This is a great time to make sure you've got your respirator on, as you're aerosolizing a lot of that dust. For this cleaning process, sometimes we'll use a tack cloth just to kind of wipe and pick up all that dust. If you don't have a tack cloth or have access to something like that, a damp rag will work just the same. So now that we've got all the way through our sanding process, we've got the wood clean and dust free, we're gonna start right into our actually start laying that stain out. What we've got here is just a Minwax wood finish. This is available through most of your big box stores, but we need a clean rag to apply the stain, and then we're going to use another rag that's also clean to kind of wipe the stain back off after we lay it out. Now, I will add, you definitely don't want to use your wife's favorite t-shirt or Cousin Eddie's good set of underwear, because this one's not gonna clean out anytime soon. So as we're staining, we want to make sure that we're moving this product in kind of with the grain, and you're going to apply it pretty liberally here, and it's going to stay pretty wet. You're going to let it sit for about 3 to 5 minutes. And then we're going to come back with a nice clean dry cloth and just wipe off the excess. Okay, so now that we're through our staining process, we're going to let this maple live edge floating shelf kind of sit overnight in a well-ventilated area. You don't want this inside the house. The fumes can be a little smelly, but we're going to let it sit overnight to let that stain dry, and then we're going to come back with a clear coat. We typically use something like a polyurethane that's a wipe-on product, wipe or brush on. very user-friendly. There's tons of options out there. You can consult your local finish experts for that sort of thing, but hit that with the clear coat and then we are all set. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you had almost as much fun as I did staying in this maple live edge floating shelf from Federal Brace. If you want one for yourself, definitely check out their website, federalbrace.com. You can get these bad boys up there right now. Such a cool product, neat idea. It's been fun staying one. Been fun hanging out a little bit. If you want to see more of what we do, Trails End Custom Construction, it's trailsendconstruction.com or Facebook, Instagram at trails.end.construction. So thanks for watching. We will see you next time.